zaista velika čast za Srpsku naprednu stranku. Prisustvovat ćemo 100-godišnjici Komunističke partije Kine i pokazatelj praktično odnosa koji imamo sa Narodnom republikom Kinom i Srbija kao država, odnosa koji ima i predsjednik naše države Aleksandar Vučić sa kineskim predsjednikom Xi Jinpingom i na kraju krajeva svim onim što je Kina uradila za nas u posljednjih nekoliko godina. Danas srpska privreda i razvoj srpske privrede praktično ne može da se zamisli bez kineskih investicija, bez naših kineskih prijatelja, da ne pričamo o situaciji u kojoj smo se zadesili u vreme najveće COVID krize, gde prvi koji su nam upravo pritekli u pomoći jesu naši kineski prijatelji. Ovo je potvrda jedne strateške dugoročne saradnje sa Narodnom republikom Kinom. Kina je propustila industrijsku revoluciju, ali nije propustila tehnološku revoluciju. Danas svet ne može da se zamisli bez Kine. Svetska ekonomija ne može da se zamisli bez Kine i mislim da činjenica da smo najbliži i najstabilniji partner Narodne republike Kine u ovom delu Evrope nam daje za pravo da smo na pravom putu i da verujemo da će ta saradnja da bude još dublja, još kvalitetnija, još bolja. Pritom, naravno, ne ugrožavajući naše odnose i sa našim zapadnim partnerima i sa našom pravoslavnom braćom na Rusiji, jer to je politika koju mi vodimo posljednjih nekoliko godina, to je politika koja nam je dala potvrdu upravo u ovoj COVID krizi gde smo, zahvaljujući toj našoj poziciji u kojem gradimo i odnose sa svim velikim svetskim silama, kvalitetne, pre svega prijateljske, dalo nam je potvrdu da daje rezultate. Mi ćemo tako nastaviti i, kažem, još jednom želim da im čestitam 100 godina Narodne republike Kine, to jest Komunističke partije Kine i nadam se da će u danima, mesecima, godinama ispred nas naša saradnja biti sve jača, sve bolje i sve stabilnije i da će naš narod osjetiti to i u praktičnom i realnom životu. To je to. Dobro, hvala.
Your Excellency Xi Jinping, General Secretary of the CPC Central Committee and President of the People's Republic of China, Your Excellencies, heads of political parties and political organizations, ladies and gentlemen, friends, greetings. Welcome to the CPC and World Political Parties Summit. Today, we're joined online by heads of more than 500 political parties from over 160 countries and 10,000 plus representatives of political parties. It is of great significance for us to exchange views under the theme of for people's well-being, the responsibility of political parties, or how to improve people's well-being and embrace a better future for the whole of humanity. We're particularly honored by the personal presence of His Excellency Xi Jinping, General Secretary of the CPC Central Committee and President of China. Warmly welcome General Secretary Xi Jinping, who will deliver a keynote speech.
Your Excellencies, leaders of political parties, ladies and gentlemen, friends, on the occasion of the centenary of the CPC, I'm delighted to join you, leaders, political parties and organizations from over 160 countries, as well as 10,000 and more representatives thereof, at this cloud event to discuss the important question of working for the people's well-being and the responsibility of political parties. Over the past weeks, more than 600 political parties and organizations from over 100 have sent us 1,500 plus congratulatory messages on the CPC's centenary, conveying their goodwill and best wishes. On behalf of the Communist Party of China, I wish to express our heartfelt thanks. A few days ago, we celebrated the centenary with the grand gathering. Over the past 100 years, the CPC has united and led the Chinese people in realizing the great transformation through ceaseless efforts of the Chinese nation from standing up and growing prosperous to becoming strong. Over the past 100 years, the CPC has always connected the future with that of other peoples and steered the course of China's development in line with the trend of the world and the tide of times to promote common development and prosperity of all countries. The historic achievements made by the CPC support of world peoples. Here, on behalf of the CPC and the Chinese people, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude and friends of all countries who have cared about, supported, and helped the CPC and a course of revolution, development, and reform in China. Ladies and gentlemen, friends, the world today is undergoing profound transformation unseen in a century, amid which the trend of multipolarity and economic globalization is experiencing a sea change, and countries are becoming increasingly intertwined, interdependent, and interconnected. To cope with COVID-19, restart the economy, and safeguard world stability, the international community has made strenuous efforts. Political parties have also shown a strong sense of responsibility by making active exploration. While, in some places, wars and conflicts are still raging, famine and diseases remain prevalent. Estrangement and confrontation grow even deeper. The call for a better life from all peoples is becoming stronger. Today, humanity is once again at a historic crossroads. It is about hostile confrontation or mutual respect, closeness or openness, decoupling or cooperation, zero-sum game or win-win results. The choice is in our hands, and the responsibility falls on our shoulders. Human race is an integral community. Planet Earth, its homeland. In the face of common challenges, no person or country can tackle alone. The only way out is to work together in harmony with one accord. Political parties, as an important force behind human progress, need to set the right course forward and shoulder their historic responsibility to ensure the people's well-being and human progress. In my view, political parties need to work even harder on the following. First, we need to shoulder the responsibility to steer the course by seizing and shaping the shared future for mankind. People aspire to affluence and contentment. They yearn for fairness and justice. Great times call for grand architecture, and grand architecture calls for great vision. Viewed from the perspective of my country first, the world is a crammed and crowded place full of competition. Viewed from the perspective of a global community with a shared future, the world is a vast and broad place full of cooperation opportunities. We need to heed the voices of the people, follow the trend of the times, and strengthen coordination. So, the interests of the people of one country will be kept in line with those of all others, and humanity will move forward towards a shared future. Second, we need to shoulder the responsibility to build consensus by upholding and promoting the common values of humanity. Despite differences among countries in history, culture, institution, and level of development, to the common values of humanity for peace, development, equality, justice, democracy, and freedom. With a strong sense for the future of mankind, we need to champion the common values of humanity, understand with an open mind the values of different civilizations, and respect other people's to reality. By doing so, the common values of humanity will be translated into the practice of individual countries to serve of their own people in a concrete and realistic way. Third, we need to shoulder the responsibility to promote development by bringing greater benefits to all peoples in a fairer manner. To the people's well-being. On the road to the well-being of mankind, no country or nation should be left behind. All countries and nations are equally entitled to development opportunities and rise to development. We need to face squarely up to major problems such as wealth gap and development divide, with particular attention given to underdeveloped countries and regions and impoverished people so that hope prevails in every corner of the world. As an ancient Chinese philosopher observed that those who only seek comfort for themselves will ultimately be rejected, and those who sacrifice their own interests for the success of others will be supported. Development is the right of all countries, rather than the privilege of the few. We need to enable all countries to step up development cooperation, which is shared by all. We need to bring greater equality, higher efficiency, and stronger synergy to global development, and jointly oppose the practice of seeking technology blockade, technology divide, and decoupling. I believe that, in the final analysis, any political manipulation for the purpose of sabotaging the development of other countries and undercutting the livelihood of other peoples will receive little support and prove to be futile. Fourth, we need to shoulder the responsibility to enhance cooperation by working together to address global risks and challenges. In the face of the ongoing COVID-19, we need to continue with a science-based response approach and advocate solidarity and cooperation so as to close the immunization gap. We must oppose the practice of politicizing the pandemic or labeling the virus. We need to work together to global community of health raw. In the face of terrorism and other common enemies of mankind, we need to pursue security and stability through cooperation so as to tighten the security fences together. In the face of the fragile ecological environment, we need to respect Mother Nature, follow her laws, and protect her so as to build a green homeland together. In the face of the severe challenges to human existence and development brought about by climate change, we need to be brave enough to take responsibilities and work as one to find a way of harmonious coexistence between man and nature. Fifth, we need to shoulder the responsibility to improve governance by enhancing our capacity to ensure people's well-being. There are different pathways. People of all countries are entitled to choose their own development paths and institutional models. This in itself is what well-being entails. Democracy is the right of all peoples rather than an exclusive privilege of the few. There are multiple ways and means to realize democracy instead of a single stereotype. The judgment, democratic or not, should be made by their own people, not by the handful of others. To advance political democracy in a way that suits the national conditions of a country, we need to strengthen exchanges and mutual learning, improve mechanisms for communication, be fully aware of the public opinion, establish and enhance our governance capacity. By doing so, our capacity and efficacy to ensure the people's well-being will be elevated continuously. Ladies and gentlemen, friends, working for the people's well-being has with the goal of moderate prosperity in all respects achieved. China has embarked towards building a modern socialist country. The Chinese people's sense of fulfillment, happiness, and security have been lifted. To run our own house well and advance the lofty cause of promoting peace and development of mankind is the unswerving goal of the CPC. The CPC will continue to uphold the people-centered development philosophy, reflect upon the overarching issues of national rejuvenation, human progress in the greater context of time and space, and lead the Chinese people in creating an even better future through ceaseless pursuit and in an enterprising spirit. As history has taught us, we can only embrace the future when we embrace the world, and can only travel safe and sound when we walk together. The CPC stands ready to work with world political parties to live our dreams and act to create a better future. Let us always be builders of world peace, advocates of global development, and guardians of the international order. The CPC will unite and lead the Chinese people to press ahead with the Chinese-style modernization and contribute to humanity's search for ways to modernize. Proceeding from reality in everything it does, the CPC has led the Chinese people in finding, through trial and error, the path of socialism with Chinese characteristics. History and practice have proven and will continue to prove that this is not only the correct path that works, but also the sure path that pays off. We will unswervingly follow this bright path to ensure that development is pursued for both our own good and the benefits of the world. There doesn't exist a one-fits-all path to modernization. The one that suits you well will serve you well. Cutting one's feet to fit the shoes will lead nowhere. The efforts of all countries to independently explore the path to modernization that fits their national conditions should be respected. The CPC is willing to share with world political parties our modernization experience to enrich each other's box tools to modernization so as to bring well-being to their own people and all other peoples. The CPC will unite and lead the Chinese people and contribute to shared development and prosperity of all countries. Currently, economic globalization, despite considerable headwinds, is still moving forward with great impetus. On the whole, the impetus prevails over the headwinds. The trend towards opening up and cooperation remains unchanged and will not change. The CPC is world political parties and steer economic globalization towards greater openness, inclusiveness, balance, and win-win results. We stand ready to work with the international community to improve global connectivity and promote high-quality Belt and Road cooperation so that more countries and peoples The CPC will shoulder its responsibilities as a major political party and a major country and contribute to improve the well-being of mankind. Poverty eradication has been a common aspiration of all peoples and an important objective of all political parties. Since the 18th National Congress of the CPC, China's 98.99 million rural residents living below out of poverty, achieving the target of the UN 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development 10 years ahead of schedule. The CPC is willing to contribute more Chinese solutions and Chinese strength to poverty eradication cause worldwide. It will spare no effort to support international cooperation against COVID-19 and enhance the accessibility and affordability of vaccines in developing countries. China will work very hard to deliver its promise of carbon peak and carbon neutrality and contribute more to global fight against climate change. China is going to host the 15th meeting of the Conference of the Parties to the Convention on Biological Diversity, where parties will consult with one another on new strategies for biodiversity and embark on a new journey of global biodiversity governance.
当今世界正经历100年未有之大变局，世界多极化、经济全球化处于深刻变化之中。各国相互联系、相互依存、相互影响。
The world today is undergoing profound transformation unseen in a century.
挑战，促进经济复苏。
To cope with COVID-19, restart the economy, and safeguard
各个政党做出了积极的探索，展现了责任担当。
Stability, political parties have shown a sense of responsibility.
和冲突仍然在持续，饥荒和疾病仍在流行，隔阂和对立仍在加深，各国人民追求幸福生活的呼声更加强烈。 今天，人类社会再次面临何去何从的历史担当当口，是敌视对立还是相互尊重？是封闭脱钩还是开放合作？是零和博弈还是互利共赢？选择就在，责任就在我们肩上。人类是一个整体家园，面对共同挑战。
Facing the common challenges, any nation cannot tide over the difficulty by itself. Only by collaboration could we win this fight. Political parties, big force for us to tide over the difficulties, and we should fight for people's well-being. And work for the progress of history. I believe that the political parties should do the following things. First of all, for the improvement of the world governance system and contribute more. The existing world governance system is based on the multilateralism. If we can apply the multilateralism better, then we can better solve the problem. The world order should be recognized by all the countries, instead of being decided by few countries. The whole family of the human beings, and we should not seek hegemony only for the interests of several countries. We will fight against any acts to work only for the benefits of the few in the name of the multilateralism, and we will continue to work under the principles of the UN Charter. We believe that we should negotiate. I'd like to stress again that China would forever remain a developing country, and we will try our best to increase the say and the representation of world affairs. Through the negotiations and collaboration of the world's political parties, we can strengthen the international cooperation. In the global governance, we should play a better role as the political parties. Ladies and gentlemen, friends, the road is still very long. If we continue with our efforts, then the future would be very beautiful. There will be some obstacles waiting for us along the road, but we will never give up our efforts. The CPC will work with the other world political parties to pick the correct side, and we will contribute to the building of a shared community of destiny and also make a bigger part of contribution for the world. Thank you.
Thank you, General Secretary Xi Jinping, for your important keynote speech. Now let's give the floor to Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa, President of the African National Congress and the President of the Republic of South Africa.
Thank you. General Secretary of the Communist Party of China, President Xi Jinping, members of the Central Committee of the CPC, leaders from political parties from around the world, comrades and friends. It is indeed a great honor and privilege on behalf of the 109-year-old African National Congress of South Africa to convey to the Communist Party of China revolutionary greetings on the great and solemn occasion of its centenary. This is indeed a joyous occasion, not only of China, but of the world. For us as South Africans, this is a particularly auspicious moment because we are this month also celebrating the 100th anniversary of the formation of the South African Communist Party, the ANC. The South African Communist Party is a revolutionary organization that played a central role in our struggle for freedom and democracy. We are here today representing movements from different parts of the world, but we share a common desire, standing for progress and development. Many of us who are participating in this summit owe a great debt of gratitude to the Communist Party of China for its unwavering support and solidarity as we have fought for liberation and independence, and as we have worked our nations together. We applaud the CPC's internationalist policies, which over the course of many decades have promoted multilateralism, understanding, and peace. As Africans, we deeply appreciate the progressive policies that China has pursued in supporting the development of our continent, Africa, and the aspirations of our people. We do this convinced and convicted that indeed China has been a good friend and a loyal friend to many of us on the African continent. Measures like the Belt and Road Initiative and extensive skills development, China continues to support economic reform, instructive development, enhanced trade, and greater integration amongst African economies. We therefore welcome and commend the declaration by President Xi Jinping that the party will continue to work with all peace-loving countries and peoples to promote shared human values of peace, development, fairness, justice, democracy, and freedom. We concur with President Xi Jinping that we must continue working to promote the building of a human community with a shared future. As the world confronts the coronavirus pandemic, we are called upon to give material effect to the principles of unity, compassion, and solidarity. We are called upon to use our multilateral institutions to bridge the huge divide that exists between wealthy countries and poorer nations in access to medicines, vaccines, diagnostics, and other essential supplies. At this moment, as never before to ensure that no person is denied access to COVID-19 vaccines because of where in the world they live, because of their gender, their race or language, or because of their personal circumstances. As political parties from across the world, we need to take a firm stand against vaccine imperialism and vaccine nationalism, not only because it is morally indefensible, but because it will defer for many years the end of this pandemic that the world is facing. As the African continent, we are seeking the support of the nations of the world for vaccines for our citizens, to develop our own vaccine manufacturing capacity, and to secure a TRIPS waiver at the World Trade Organization to rapidly expand global vaccine production. We would like to use this opportunity to thank the government and the people of China for the generous provision of vaccine equipment and other vital medical supplies for our continental response to COVID-19. We listened with intent as President Xi Jinping explained the journey of building a moderately prosperous China, the realization of the first century goal. We are inspired by the progress that China has made to eradicate absolute poverty in the largest developing economy on the planet. The historic achievements of the CPC have been made more possible because it has placed the needs and the interests of the people at the center of its work. We wholeheartedly endorse the statement by President Xi Jinping that the people are the true heroes, for it is they who create history. As the African National Congress, we are honored to have a strategic relationship with the Communist Party of China and regard the CPC as a true and reliable and valued friend. I thank you and I say congratulations for the achievement of your 100 years of existence. May the CPC exist for another 100 years. Thank you very
much. Thank you, President Ramaphosa. Now I would like to invite Mr. Nazarbayev, Chairman of Nur Otan Party and First President of Kazakhstan. Your Excellency, General Secretary Xi Jinping, dear heads of political parties, dear participants, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I would like to thank the President of the People's Republic of China to host today's summit. I'm grateful to you, my dear friend, for the invitation to take part in and speak at such a representative political event by world standards. I'm very pleased to personally congratulate you and all the friendly Chinese people on an important historic date of the Communist Party of China. I'm convinced that the successful rise and accelerated growth of the PRC in the 21st century is directly related to the leading role of the CPC in the country's development. Dear colleagues, The theme of our summit is very relevant and reflects the work of our new Otan party, which I head. This year marks the 30th anniversary of the independence of my country. As the ruling political party all these years, we have defined our main priority from the very beginning. Its victories and achievements are of no value if they do not lead to the betterment of the well-being and society as a whole. Without false modesty, I can say that we have something to be proud of in this regard. Confidence and support of the party and compatriots, Kazakhstan by now has entered a group of UN countries with the highest, reaching 51st place among 189 states. Our country has built an economy that is the 41st in the world and the second in the Commonwealth of Independent States. It takes the 35th place among the most competitive countries on the planet. At the same time, our country's GDP has grown by 15 times to $171 billion, and GDP per capita has increased by 13 times to $9,100. The welfare of citizens has increased significantly, reaching the level of a number of Eastern European states and the second place in the CIS, where we are second only to Russia. Incomes of the population have grown 10 times. Social payments have multiplied. Poverty rate decreased 11 times. Unemployment rate has been reduced to 4.8%. Expectancy has increased from 67 to 73 years. The country's economy attracted more than $365 billion of foreign investments. We will continue to work to ensure a decent standard of living for citizens and the modernization of Kazakhstan as a socially. Our goal is to be among the 30 most developed countries in the world. Dear friends, Chinese President Xi Jinping first put forward the idea of a new version of the Silk Road to Kazakhstan in 2013. I still remember that vividly. And we have kept close personal friendship. Being a golden bridge in the heartland of Eurasia and at an important connecting Asia and Europe, North and South, our country immediately supported the Belt and Road Initiative, which has already fully proven its effectiveness and usefulness for its participants. As a friendly neighbor of China's, we will participate in cooperation within the Belt and Road Initiative. Today, our Chinese colleagues initiated a new platform for multilateral dialogue, this time for political parties. Of my thoughts on this matter, first, the COVID-19 pandemic has once again proved that it is possible to global challenges through international partnership and mutual support. Political parties can and should play their positive role here. Now, the main area where it is necessary to use a cooperative approach is of COVID vaccines among all countries in the world. Kazakhstan has developed its own vaccine, Kazvac, which is currently undergoing WHO approval. Our government is already considering options. Second, the current crisis has put the poorest countries and the most vulnerable population in an even more unenviable position. Tens of millions of jobs have been lost. Many people have lost their livelihoods. And the World Bank estimates that over 120 million so-called new poor have emerged. We should also take into account the 160 million people currently living in conflict zones, as well as refugees displaced from their homes as a result of hostilities. In these difficult days, it is important for political parties to try not to leave anyone on the side of the road. We all need to work together to minimize the challenges of geography and development inequalities. Third, I stand for our voice to be heard loud and clear in the world. In particular, I believe that political parties can have closer interaction in order to contribute to overcoming geopolitical tensions. We all know that all supporters, voters, and ordinary citizens of our states in no way share the concepts of rivalry, powers, an arms race, military conflicts, trade wars, and sanctions. On the contrary, our peoples articulate the demand for peaceful coexistence, life without fear for today, and with faith for tomorrow, for our children and grandchildren. This is also fully reflected in the keynote speech of General Secretary Xi Jinping. Dear participants, Kazakhstan and China are good neighbors, united by a common border of more than 1,700 kilometers. And I'm glad that the new Otan Party and the CPC are making our contributions to strengthening the partnership between our two countries. At the end of my speech, I wish the CPC and the people of the country and General Secretary Xi Jinping new successes and prosperity. I wish all your targets are met. I wish the summit great success. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you, Chairman Nazarbayev, for your speech. Now let's give the floor to Mr. Dmitry Medvedev, Chairman of the United Russian Party and the Deputy Chairman of the Security Council of the Russian Federation.
Уважаемый господин генеральный секретарь Китая, председатель Китайской Народной Республики Си Цзиньпин,
General Secretary Xi Jinping,
участники партийного
dear participants of the conference,
и друзья. Прежде всего, тоже хотел бы поздравить китайских друзей со столетием образования коммунистической партии.
First of all, I would like to cordially congratulate our Chinese friends on the 100th anniversary of the founding of the Communist Party of China and thank the organizer for giving me the opportunity to speak.
Одно из самых знаменательных событий
The centenary is undoubtedly one of the most significant events of our country, a festival to celebrate for all the Chinese people. Over the past century, the CPC was able to successfully pave the way for socialism with Chinese characteristics, or what is now commonly known as the Great Rejuvenation of the Chinese nation. The CPC has been transformed into a powerful political force that has more than 95 million members. Over the past century, the Chinese people have courageously gone through many trials. At one time, the Soviet Union actively supported the Chinese communists in their revolutionary struggle and provided them with important assistance in party and state building. We cherish the memory of our common history, in particular of the 6th Congress of the Communist Party of China, which took place in a village near Moscow. It was the USSR that first established diplomatic ties with the People's Republic of China in 1949. And after 7 decades, Russia-China Comprehensive Strategic Cooperative Partnership is rightly characterized as the best in our history. The partnership continues to develop on the basis of the China-Russia Treaty of Good Neighborliness and Friendly Cooperation, the 20th anniversary of which will be celebrated by my Chinese friends and I in just a few days. This document fully absorbs the centuries-old positive experience in the development and strengthening of ties between our two countries. Last week, Russian President and Your Excellency, distinguished Mr. General Secretary, officially announced the extension of the treaty for 5 years in a joint statement. Without exaggeration, this is a historic event that will actively contribute to the development of our cooperation for the benefit of our two peoples. All necessary conditions have been created for the treaty's extension. Over the years, we have been jointly implementing large-scale projects both on a bilateral basis and within the framework of government platforms. I am also proud of my personal contribution to this work as President and Prime Minister of the Russian Federation. I'm really proud. Cooperation does not stop even during the pandemic. Mutual support, understanding of common interests help us to effectively complete projects. Our priority now is to combine the building of the Eurasian Economic Union with the Belt and Road Initiative to form a broader economic partnership. China continues to be our largest trading partner. In the first quarter of this year, the two-way trade turnover increased by more than 13%. Plants in the fields of energy and industry, as well as high-tech and agriculture. Our two countries advocate with international regulations in the global market. This is especially important in the context of imposed trade wars and illegitimate sanctions pressure. Another important area of work is strengthening cooperation in combating the drug threat, terrorism and extremism. Is penetrating all spheres of life. Russia and China are consistently expanding cooperation in information security and countering cybercrime, striving for convergence of our stance. People-to-people exchanges are no less important than business and political ties. Therefore, we will continue to implement programs in education, culture, science, tourism, and sports. Our joint action against COVID-19 productive as well, which is also reflected in your speech just now. We have supported each other in bilateral and multilateral mechanisms and frameworks. We have conducted extensive cooperation in such areas as prevention and diagnosis of the disease and the development of vaccines and drugs. China managed to overcome this crisis in a short time. Like Russia, when faced with a criminal or critical situation, China tried not to leave countries most affected by the pandemic and provided assistance to every country in need. Russia has repeatedly forward a proposal to create green corridors through which essential goods could be delivered to all countries, including countries under sanctions. It is a pity that it was not supported by our colleagues in the West. Political parties play a significant role in shaping key government decisions. Relations between the United Russia Party and the CPC have a 20-year history and are developing progressively. A CPC delegation attended the first Congress of United Russia in 2001, and in 2004 an agreement on interaction and cooperation was signed. Despite the limitations associated with the pandemic, our parties continue systematically to contact both through the central authorities and regional party structures. We discuss all topical issues, such as the fight against COVID-19, overcoming the socio-economic consequences of the pandemic, and digital transformation in the interests of people. We continue to exchange practical experience in parliamentary and legislative activities and coordinate in the initiative demanded by our peoples. In October 2020, the CPC took an active part in the new inter-party platform SCO Plus initiated by United Russia. It was the first virtual forum for parliamentary majority of the SCO member states, as well as political forces of the BRICS and the CIS countries. I would also like to note the unique United Russia CPC dialogue mechanism and the Forum for Political Parties in Russia and China. They're held in turn in our respective countries and are supported at the highest level. This gives the platform a serious practical dimension and allows the business communities of Russia and China to establish mutually beneficial partnerships. Your Excellency, Mr. General Secretary, and dear participant, the great Chinese statesman and reformer Deng Xiaoping once said that you completely serve the people, listen to the voices of the people, not strive for empty glory, but do more practical deeds. Following these principles, the CPC is celebrating its centenary with impressive achievements both in socio-economic development and in the international arena. I am deeply convinced that Mr. Deng Xiaoping's words are true for all leading political parties in the world. They are responsible for the most important task of protecting the interests of their voters. And this task cannot be accomplished without strengthening cooperation, friendship, and mutual understanding between governments and political parties. We will continue to work responsibly in this direction. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chairman, for your speech. Now, let's give the floor to Mr. Alberto Fernandez, President of the Justicialist Party and President of the Republic of Argentina.
Muy bien, buenos días desde Buenos Aires, señor Presidente de la República Popular China y Secretario General.
People's Republic of China and the General Secretary of the Communist Party of China, representatives of political parties, ladies and gentlemen.
Su maravilloso discurso, donde ha puesto en valor.
It gives me great honor to participate in my capacity as President of the Justicialist Party of the Republic of Argentina in the summit. I've listened very carefully to the speech. His speech is visionary and insightful, and we have drawn a lot of inspiration from this speech. Which can help political parties to reflect upon what kind of responsibility those political parties should play. It is my honor to participate in my of Argentina. And I am glad to reflect on the responsibility of political parties for people's well-being. I would like to begin with a brief personal reference. When I was a teenager and decided to embrace political activity, I did so with the conviction that politics was the most genuine and effective instrument to improve the life of the people. That is why I chose to join the Justicialist Party of my country. After many years of work, Today, I have the honor and responsibility of leading our party, and both my convictions and the ideals of our party remain unchanged. Without departing from our essence, we work every day to generate adequate responses to the challenges of the 21st century. The birth of the Justicialist Party in Argentina is directly associated with the profound recognition of the people for the actions taken by Juan Domingo Perón, who was president for 3 times, and by Eva Perón, his wife, who was a pioneer in the struggle for the equality of women.
Es precisamente por eso nosotros nos reconocemos en nuestra identidad de peronistas.
That is why we recognize ourselves as Peronists, to be Peronists. The Justicialist Party is the party of the people, of all workers and businessmen, of students and professionals, of young people and scientists, and of all those who share a central idea. There's no individual success in a community that does not fulfill itself and applies in its policies a concept of solidarity and integration of society that includes all men and women. We define ourselves politically in a set of principles and banners that have guided our party for more than 75 years and are embraced by the vast majority of the Argentine people. Why these banners are so deeply rooted in the hearts of our people. One only has to look at the enormous political and social revolution brought about by the work of Juan Domingo Perón and the egalitarian action of Eva Perón. In the history of Argentina, Peronism emerged in the middle of the 20th century. 3 objectives guided our party: to build a socially just, economically free, and politically sovereign homeland. We uphold these 3 banners and claim them for all the nations in the world. In Argentina, we're working to attend to the needs of our people and to propose a respectful relationship with all countries. Within this framework, the People's Republic of China is our comprehensive strategic partner, and this year was for relations. Therefore, I'd like to reiterate our gratitude for the cooperation of the Chinese government and the people with the Argentine COVID-19 pandemic. Thanks to donations and facilities in times of global shortages, they have helped us in a decisive way. Are strong and diversified, and we share many possibilities for development. At present, China is our 2nd largest trading partner and also makes important investments in infrastructure, transport, gas pipelines, and other areas. We seek to deepen the active participation of exchanges between our countries. China holds important international events that bring the world together, and in these events, the Argentine government facilitates and promotes the participation of its companies so that it is possible to further improve the quality of Argentine production that responds to the demand of the Chinese population. Our government has been encouraging exports of knowledge-based services an area in which we have many links to deepen with China. We are also aware of the interest of many Chinese citizens in visiting our country and Latin America, and we are working to facilitate these trips by means of new flight routes, visa simplification, and the creation of projects that meet their demand.
China es el líder mundial en turismo emisivo.
China is a world leader in outbound tourism. Please feel assured that our country and our region are waiting for you with open arms. In short, we have in front of us a wide common path that we can follow for the benefit of the Chinese and Argentine people. Today we're meeting to reflect on the role of political parties in people's lives. Political parties are the most genuine instruments to move people forward in the pursuit of a greater well-being. We're living in a crucial moment on a planetary scale. Scientific and technological development has long since provided humanity with the means to eradicate hunger and malnutrition and to ensure decent living conditions for all inhabitants. However, this is not the picture that the world is giving us. Sadly, we are seeing injustices here and there. This possible well-being is denied to many millions of people. The global pandemic we face has brought to the forefront the profound inequalities that condemn millions and millions of human beings. No longer postpone joint action by all countries to reduce these inequalities. Argentina has been promoting in different international forums and mechanisms the creation of a work plan whose priority is to build a fairer world order.
Desde nuestra responsabilidad de líderes de partidos políticos,
leaders of political parties, we must strengthen a cooperative agenda with a view to economic and social development whose benefits truly reach all the people. Meetings such as what we are having today undoubtedly contribute to consolidating this awareness. To conclude, once again, I thank the invitation to participate in this summit. I would like to congratulate the Communist Party of China on its 100th anniversary, which has been celebrated these days. The Justicialist Party of Argentina and the Communist Party of China have generated a historic relationship that exchange of letters between their leaders, one Dr. Beron and Mao Zedong, almost 60 years ago. In those letters, they shared their views on the course of the world. Our political movement is just over 75 years old, while the Communist Party of China is already 100 years old. So that members of the CPC have reason to be proud and to celebrate. Undoubtedly, the remarkable progress in the eradication of absolute poverty and the evident improvements in the people's life are among the most important achievements of the People's Republic of China in recent decades. Similarly, the progress in terms of scientific innovation and technological development achieved in such a short period of time should also be highlighted. Today, China is a world economic power and a central player in international politics. From Argentina, I also express my recognition and congratulations for these achievements. I hope that all political parties in the world will focus our objectives on bringing greater well-being to our peoples. My respectful greetings to all participants of this summit. Thank you very much.
Thank you, President Fernandez.
现在请越南共产党中央总书记阮富仲发言。
General Secretary of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of Vietnam.
谢谢。尊敬的中共中央总书记、中华人民共和国国家主席习近平同志，
Xi Jinping, President of the People's
尊
Republic
敬
of
的
China.
世界政党和政治组织的各
Your
位代表，
Excellencies, leaders
于
of political
中国
parties
共产
and
党建党
organizations.
100周年之际，我很高兴
On
出
the
席
occasion
中国
of
共
the
产
founding
党
of the
与世界
CPC,
政党领
I
导
would
人
like
峰会。
to express my gratitude and
值此
happiness
之际，
to
我
attend
谨代
the
表越南
CPC and
党
World
政
Political
府
Parties
和人民，
Summit.
向中
On
国
behalf
党
of
政
our
府
party,
和人民
the government and
致以
people of
最热
Vietnam,
烈
I would
的
like to
祝贺。
extend the warmest
并向
congratulations
出席
to the
峰
Chinese
会的各
government
位
and
代
the
表
Chinese people.
致以
I would like
诚挚
to
的问候。
also extend greetings to all of you present.
中国共产党领导
Over
中
the
国人
past
民
century,
取得重大
the
历史性
CPC
成就，
has
多
led the
项
Chinese
成果
people
获
in
得国
making
际社会
historic
认同。因
achievements
此，我们谨
that have
向
been
中国共产党
recognized
和
the
中国
world
人
over.
民表示衷心祝贺，
Hereby,
并相信，在以
we would
习
like
近
to
平总
offer
书记国
our
家主席为
heartfelt
核心的中共
congratulations.
领导下，
We
中
believe
国
that
人民
under the
将继
leadership of the
续取得
CPC
新
with
的重
Comrade Xi
大成
Jinping at the
就。
core, we
虔
will
诚
continue to
富
score
强、民
even
主、
greater
文明、
achievements
和
and make
谐、
China
美丽
into
的
a
社会主义现代化
democratic,
国家。
beautiful and strong country.
各位代表，在独
Dear
立、
participants,
自主、和平、友好、合作与
In
发
the
展
course
多
to
变化、
independence and
多样化
development,
的对外路线基础上，基于纯洁的国际主义传统
we
以及对越
in
中两党
Vietnam,
两国关
the
系的重视，
internationalistic
越南
tradition
共产党代表
and the
团
friendship
本
between
着
China
开
and
放与
Vietnam,
合作精神出席此次峰
the
会，
Communist
并
Party
愿
of
与各国政
Vietnam
党共同探讨
is attending
为
this
人民
summit
谋
with
求
great
幸福
sincerity.
政
We
党
are
的
here
责任的主
to
题。
discuss the important topic of
越南共产
seeking
党的
happiness
缔
for the
造
people,
者，
the
越南
responsibilities
民
of
族的
political
伟大
parties.
领袖，联合国
The
教
great
科文
leader
组
of
织公
Vietnam
认的和杰出文化名人胡志明
the
后其命主席
outstanding
奉
Ho Chi
献
Minh,
曾说过，
the
人
founding
民是
father
最宝
of
贵的
Vietnam,
最
said
重要的
that
是至高无
people
上的。
are the most
苍穹
important.
下没有什么比人民更珍贵，
Under
世
heaven,
界上没
there
有
is
什么比人
nothing
民
that
团
is
结
more
力量
important
更强大。
than the people,
我相信
and
各位代
nothing
表
is strong.
因为
I
人
think
民
all of us
是政党和
identify
政
with
治组
this
织的社会根
because
基和力量源泉，
people
同时
are
是
the
每个国
foundation
家
for
和
political
真
parties
正政
and
党的各
organizations.
项主张政策的目标。
Members
每
of
个人
all
的
political
正当
parties
愿
and
望和权利，
organizations.
那就是对
Seeking
美好社会的
happiness
渴
is the
望，
right
在这
of
种社会
anyone.
下
The
得到全
aspiration
面发
for
展，
a better
在
society
和
in
平
which
环境下过
everyone
上温暖、
enjoys
幸
the
福的
right
生
to
活，人
development
人平
and
等，
to
互
live
相
a
关
happy
爱。
life. Everyone
除
is
此，
equal
共同向法
and care
外，
about each
每个
other.
国家和地区的人民
This is
都
our
有自
common
己的正
aspiration.
当关切问题，例
Besides,
如制止战争和
different
冲突，
peoples around the
解
world
决社
may
会
have
不公
different
平和
concerns,
贫
such
困
as
问题，
ending
因为
wars,
气候变化、
putting an
抗击
end
疫
to
情等等。
inequality, responding to climate change and the pandemic, etc., peace, development, and cooperation remain the underlying trends of our times. Peoples around the world also face the challenges of turmoil, conflict, lack of economic development, fluidity, and traditional and non-traditional threats, economic and social crisis, social turmoil, climate change, pollution, terrorism, etc. And now, COVID-19 is raging around the world, wreaking havoc in different areas of our society. As important political parties and organizations, we shoulder the important responsibility to play our due role, to work with governments of around the world and to jointly deal with challenges head-on. We should improve our governance capacities so as to seek well-being for the people. I would like to share the following thoughts. First, at the national level, we should implement policies and rules that aim at serving the people and put people first. We should take the happiness of the people as the most lofty goal of ours, and they should be the starting point and the finish line of each and every policy. We should follow these principles. Second, political parties should work together in great. We should enhance mutual understanding and international cooperation, respect the legitimate concerns of each other, and jointly deal with traditional and non-traditional security challenges. We should uphold the international law and use them to deal with regional conflicts. As long as different countries and nations work in unison with then people around the world will enjoy true happiness. Third, political parties and organizations have the urgent task to put an end and defeat the pandemic and to promote accelerated economic and social recoveries so as to create conditions for the happiness of we should work in concert to fulfill our task and obligation. However, we still have to do more to deliver effective international governance to ensure effective and equitable distribution of vaccines. Dear participants, the Communist Party of Vietnam put political document, the basic political tasks of our party, that is, to meet the strong demands of the people. Chairman Ho Chi Minh told us that the interests over the past 90 years, our party has maintained flesh and blood relations with our people. We have led the people of Vietnam in overcoming one difficulty after another. Since independence, we have led the Vietnamese people in scoring independence in 1945. Thus, realizing people's strong desire for independence, we also underwent 2 wars to realize the reunification of the country in 1975. Since then, we have worked relentlessly to safeguard national interests and to rebuild our country after the wars. Currently, Vietnam has entered the rank of a developing country with middle incomes. We have booming culture development and a high culture standard. We are in terms of Human Development Index, compared with people and countries in the same bracket, we are among the first. Over the past 1 year, we have fought relentlessly against the pandemic, and we have always put the life and health of our people first. We took proactive measures in fighting the pandemic. At the spent efforts in recovering the economy and ensuring the livelihood of the people. We have learned that we should always put the interests of the people first. We have to rely on the people, and we should utilize the strength of the people. In the process of development, we should always follow the underlying laws. At the same the environment, culture is the underlying driving force for the development of the country. We should fully leverage the enterprising spirit and innovation of our people. And we aim at developing friendly relations with countries around the world. With strong determination to further develop the country, we are working to build an effective and strong party and political system, at the same time pressing ahead with our reform and modernization drive, so as to realize independence, diversified development, and full integration into the international community. We will always be reliable for other countries, and we will continue to press ahead with friendly ties with other political parties and organizations to contribute to the development and progress of mankind. On this occasion, on behalf I would like to send greetings and express our gratification and appreciation the parties for your valuable support. We thank China for its valuable support for our efforts at independence and development. I wish the summit a full success. Thank you.
Thank
you, General Secretary Ran Fuzhong. Next, I would like to invite Mr. Diaz-Canel, First Secretary of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of Cuba and President of the Republic of Cuba. Your Excellency, Comrade Xi Jinping, General Secretary of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of China and President of the Brazilian People's Republic of China, distinguished guests, on behalf of the Communist Party of Cuba, its members, and the Cuban people, please allow me to express my warmest congratulations to the Chinese people, and in particular to you and the more than 95 million members on the 100th anniversary of the founding of the CPC. The founding of the Communist Party of China and New China were major events in human history. Since then, China, a great nation representing progressive and left revolutionary forces, has made important theoretical and practical contributions to Marxism-Leninism by holding high the banner of socialism. When the first National Congress of the Communist Party of China was held 100 years ago, it marked the beginning of a momentous chapter in contemporary history. Among its delegates was Comrade Mao Zedong. As the party leader, Comrade Mao Zedong has made great contributions to the revolutionary struggle and national liberation of China, which was large and impoverished back then. Such contributions with admiration. Today, after more than 4 decades of reform and opening up, China is recognized throughout the world for its strong economic base, which is supported by a huge domestic market and the experience gained in the exploration of socialism with Chinese characteristics. We see in China a united and industrious people, a culture, and highly trained, capable, and committed cadres. Above all, we see a party that has firmly and wisely addressed the greatest adversities and has been able to place integrated development, institutions, the rule of law, and the people at the center of its work. The CPC's effective battle against COVID-19 in eradicating extreme poverty are recent and admirable examples of its response to people's demand. However, in spite of these undeniable achievements, the U.S. government, deliberately concealing hegemonic interests and world domination, is trying to portray China as a threat, while at the same time tarnishing the image of the Communist Party of China. The truth is quite different. In the context of the current complex international situation, China is an important element of balance, stability, and peace. It does not impose its model, adopt unilateral measures, or apply extraterritorial laws. China defends multilateralism and the principles of international law. In the battle against the pandemic, it has donated its vaccines to 80 countries and 3 international organizations and exported to with several nations in vaccine research, development, and production. It is well known that our close relationship with the Chinese people, the CPC, and the Chinese government is forged and continued by leaders of both nations. Excellent party-to-party ties based on equality, mutual respect, friendship, and cooperation are a benchmark and pillar of our bilateral relations. We are united by the determination to build socialism on the basis of national realities, mutual political trust, a common vision of sustainable development, and the utmost concern for people's well-being. Distinguished guests, with the triumph of the Cuban Revolution, a colonial past and imperialist plundering have come to an end. The road to justice, equality, and human dignity for all has begun. As a small nation, Cuba guarantees universal access to health and education, citizen security, and social tranquility under the principle of leaving no one unprotected. We ensure the equality of all people without discrimination of any kind. Cuba faces a criminal blockade imposed by the U.S. government more than 60 years ago, which was intensified during the Trump administration with 243 brutal measures that the Biden administration maintains. Those measures are in place despite the international crisis aggravated by the pandemic. In spite of this genocidal policy, Cuba has managed to sustain the vitality of its main services, attend to its entire population infected and suspected of COVID-19, and set up more than 20 molecular biology labs in record time, design and develop national and diagnostic kits and develop 5 vaccine candidates. Those vaccines are expected to immunize the entire Cuban population and to help other nations. At the same time, our country has provided selfless and humanitarian medical assistance to several countries. 57 medical teams and 2,500 health professionals have been sent to 4. These humanitarian and solidarity-based principles of Cuban Revolution were rectified at the recent 8th Congress of the Communist Party of Cuba. They are proof that Cuban revolutionaries have always considered the needs of the people and international solidarity as priorities. These values are linked to the thought and action of the Fidel Castro, who laid the foundation for the construction of socialist Cuba, following the guidance of Marxism and Leninism. These ideals will be sustained and strengthened by the teachings of Army General Raul Castro in the actions of the new generation of leaders and all Cuban revolutionaries. Distinguished guests, we wish to reiterate our consistent support for the One China principle and our rejection and condemnation of interference in China's internal affairs. At the same time, we appreciate that the unequivocal stance of this great nation in solidarity with Cuba, which has paid a high price for firmly defending its noble ideals. Dear Comrade Xi Jinping, please receive once again our congratulations on the occasion of such a significant commemoration as an expression of the respect and affection that all Cubans feel for you, the Communist Party of China, and its heroic people. As I personally expressed to you in a letter on the occasion of this anniversary, that the Communist Party of China has governed China for over 7 decades and has made great achievements in building socialism. And the Communist Party of China have shown that it is possible to pursue sustainable development with sovereignty, independence, and deep convictions. The contributions made by you at the core of the Central Committee of the CPC give continuity to the work of several generations of Chinese communists and represent a qualitative leap in the adaptation of socialism to the realities of the country and the times. It is our deepest conviction that in 2049, the world will look with even greater admiration at the first modern socialist country to reach its centenary under the leadership of the Communist Party of China and the political vanguard of China. From Cuba, we congratulate you as your inspired followers. Let us unite in the urgent peace and well-being of humanity. Thank you.
Thank you, First Secretary Diaz-Canel. Now let's give the floor to Mr. Rodrigo Roa Duterte, Chairman of the PDP Laban and President of the Philippines.
Your Excellency, President Xi Jinping, General Secretary of the Communist Party of China, Excellencies, Heads of States and Governments, members of the Standing Committee of the Political Bureau of the CPC Senate, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, in behalf of the Partido Demokratikong Filipino Lakas Bayan or PDP Laban and to the Filipino people, I congratulate the Communist Party of the People's Republic of China on this centennial founding anniversary. We join you in that milestone marking a century of CPC's visionary leadership. The CPC oversaw China's extraordinary rise to prosperity, lifting over 800 million Chinese out of extreme poverty and driving a global growth in the process. This is a unique achievement made possible by the collective and dedicated efforts of the Chinese people under the leadership of the CPC. Indeed, a sleeping dragon, no more. China has realized its dream people. With this came great power and equally immense responsibility. We won't be any turning back. China has risen and will play an important role in the global affairs for decades to come. The world faces tremendous challenges from various security threats. While we see difficulties, we also glean many opportunities from greater cooperation and solidarity. I thank the Chinese government for its timely assistance that has helped the Philippines contain the COVID-19 pandemic and restart its economy. We value the friendships, ties between PDP Laban and the CCP that have grown significantly over the years. To further build mutual trust and confidence, we must sustain our constructive dialogue and peaceful engagement. This is crucial as the bilateral relations between our two countries expand and deepen. We count on China as a friend and a partner for peace and development. We trust in the collective wisdom of the great Chinese nation, that China will use its newfound strength in defense of what is good and just for all humanity. After all, we exist in one global village. Our destinies are inextricably linked with each other. Peace and prosperity, therefore, must be shared and enjoyed by all. The ties between the Filipino people and Chinese peoples are deep and enduring. They will remain so as long as we continue to value win-win cooperation, amity, and mutual respect. Thank you.
感谢杜特尔特主席的发言。现在请津巴布韦非洲民主联盟爱国阵线党主席
Mr. Emerson Mnangagwa, President and First Secretary of the Zimbabwe African National Union Patriotic Front and President of Zimbabwe.
Thank you. Your Excellency, the President of the People's Republic of China, His Excellency Xi Jinping, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, comrades and friends, Your Excellency, it is my honor to join you and other leaders at this World Political Parties Summit organized by China, CPC. Firstly, on behalf of the Central Committee of the Zimbabwe African National Union Patriotic Front, ZANU-PF, and indeed on my own behalf, I wish to convey my congratulations to the Central Committee and leadership of the in particular to you, Your Excellency, President Xi Jinping, on the occasion of 100th anniversary of the founding of the Communist Party of China. The CPC has been our strategic ally dating back to the days of the excellent bilateral relations between Zimbabwe and China have been steadily growing since independence. The relationship was elevated to a comprehensive strategic partnership in 2018 during my state visit to the People's Republic of China. ZANU-PF in boosting cooperation with China in a number of areas in order to promote the shared prosperity and the well-being of our two peoples, guided by the strategic comprehensive partnership that exists between our two countries. The party is indeed grateful to the Communist Party of China and the government of the People's Republic of China for supporting Zimbabwe on its development path and national rejuvenation. A number of infrastructure projects have been undertaken due to the Chinese support. These include the new parliament building, upgrading and expansion of the Robert Mugabe International Airport, and the construction of the Wange 7 and 8 thermal power station, among many other projects. We have equally welcomed a number of private Chinese companies in the mining sector and their steel production subsectors. Your Excellency, ZANU-PF is committed to delivering development for the people of Zimbabwe and to leading our country towards the realization of a prosperous upper middle income society by 2030. In this regard, our party draws lessons and inspiration from the successes achieved by the Communist Party of China. We applaud how the Communist Party of China has turned around the fortunes of China to be a global leader in a vast number of socio-economic spheres. We are confident that under the leadership of the Communist Party of China and Your Excellency President Xi Jinping, China will achieve its mission of realizing happiness and prosperity for the people of your great country, in line with the Chinese dream and ideology of socialism with Chinese characteristics. On our part, ZANU-PF is unwavering in advancing sustainable development. There's no one behind. As such, the aspirations of our people for a better quality of life are the focus of all party and government efforts. Under the new leadership of the party's Central Committee and government, we have adopted a new development model and constant improvement in the quality and the impact of development policies and programs and projects in our country. So far, notable successes are being scored with regards to macroeconomic stabilization, reduction of inflation, and overall projected growth. Discipline within the party and the anti-corruption fight across all spheres of society also remain fundamental. The other pressing national priorities include accelerating the agricultural revolution through modernization of that sector, chains and the beneficiation of our vast primary commodities, exploitation and the growth of the mining sector, leveraging on ICTs to drive an innovation-driven development agenda and industrial growth, modernization and development of infrastructure, energy generation, and power development. Under the ongoing ease of doing business reforms, we are desirous to create a favorable environment for Zimbabwe's development and an overall accountable, transparent, and corruption-free public administration. It is envisaged that the reforms will also be a catalyst to public and private sector investments in the economy, as well as the establishment of rural industry systems. These priorities, along with our quest to deliver a broad-based transformation, create new wealth and economic opportunities for all Zimbabweans, are encapsulated in the National Development Strategy 1. Success of the National Development Strategy 1 will depend on us. However, my country values the support from our strategic partners, such as the Communist Party of China and the People's Republic of China. Your Excellencies, distinguished delegates, allow me to express my gratitude to the Communist Party of China and of the People's Republic of China, and specifically to His Excellency President Xi Jinping for the role China is playing in mitigating the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic in Zimbabwe. Since the onset of the pandemic within our jurisdiction, China has made timely donations of medical equipment, PPEs, and most recently, COVID-19 vaccine doses to our country. ZANU-PF further commends the leadership of China in advancing and promoting multilateralism in the fight against COVID-19 pandemic. Of the magnanimous leadership of the Communist Party of China and China, that countries in the developing world have been able to access COVID-19 vaccines. Finally, Your Excellency, I once again thank the Communist Party of China for organizing this important forum, which will undoubtedly enable politics to share perspectives on advancing shared development and prosperity for all mankind. I therefore wish this event resounding success. I thank you.
President Mnangagwa. Now let's give the floor to President Mohamed Abbas, President of the Fatah Movement and President of the State of Palestine.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. فخامة الرئيس شي جين
Your Excellency,
الصين الشعبية
President Xi Jinping,
الأمين العام للحزب الشيوعي الصيني، السادة الأمناء العامون لأحزاب دول العالم،
leaders of political parties of the world,
ورحمة الله وبركاته. أتوجه
greetings.
بخالص التحية وأصدق التهاني والتبريكات باسم الشعب الفلسطيني
and sincere congratulations and blessings on behalf of the Palestinian people and the Palestinian Liberation Movement, Fatah, to His Excellency President Xi Jinping and General Secretary of the Communist Party of China and his dear comrades and members of the Political Bureau of the party on the occasion of the centenary of the On this occasion, we commend the great achievements by the great Chinese people under the leadership of the CPC since its inception. China has made great achievements, technological and development in other areas. It has set a great example ought to be emulated by all countries, making the People's Republic of China ascend to the top economic position in the world. In addition, gain great political, military, and diplomatic status. All this is attributable to the wise approach of the CPC, which is eminently embodied in the party's General Secretary Xi Jinping. The Belt and Road Initiative proposed by China in order to promote economic cooperation and partnership in development with many countries of the world demonstrates that China is a leading country in launching initiatives that take into account the mutual interests of people around the world. The world bears witness the distinction of the Chinese experience and the production of medical equipment and vaccines, as well as the provision of a helping hand to the countries of the world in combating the COVID-19 pandemic. Dear brothers, sisters, and comrades, the Communist Party of China has always stood by Palestine since the outbreak of the Palestinian Revolution led by the Fatah movement. And China's relationship with the Palestine Liberation Organization continues to strengthen as China recognizes the state of Palestine and has always supported Palestinian efforts in the United Nations and all international fora. The great Communist Party of stood by the legitimate rights of the Palestinian people to freedom, independence, and establishing our state on our lands with East Jerusalem as our capital. For 73 years, our Palestinian people have been subjected to killings, displacement, injustice, oppression, racism, and theft of Palestinian land at the hands of the Israeli authorities. Most recently, the Israeli occupation authorities launched successive wars on the Gaza Strip, resulting in the killing of hundreds of Palestinians, the injury and displacement of thousands, and destruction of infrastructure and residential homes in the Gaza Strip. Supported by the Israeli occupation forces, extremist settlers continue to accelerate tensions and attack Jerusalem and the West Bank, especially the blessed Al-Aqsa Mosque, and conduct ethnic cleansing against our people in Jerusalem, the list of which is Sheikh Jarrah and Silwan neighborhoods. We are confident that China will continue to support the struggle of our people. On this occasion, we thank and appreciate His Excellency General Secretary Xi Jinping's initiatives for a peaceful solution to the Palestinian laws. For our part, we assure you of our readiness to work with you and the parties of the Security Council and the Middle East for comprehensively and peaceful settlement that will end the Israeli occupation of our country in accordance with resolutions of the international community. And we affirm that China has an important and pivotal role to play. Dear brothers, sisters, and comrades, in conclusion, I extend my thanks to the friendly parties and personalities participating in this summit for their support to our people's legitimate struggle for freedom and independence. I wish the Communist Party of China, on this occasion of its centenary, progress, prosperity, and success. Thank you all.
Thank you, President Abbas. Now let's give the floor to Mr. Alexander Vučić, President of the Progress Party of Serbia and President of Serbia.
Poštovani predsjedniče i dragi prijatelji, gospodine Xi Jinping, uvaženi predsjednici i predsjednici vlada, vek postojanja komunističke partije Kine, vek je velikih promjena u istoriji čovečanstva. Kada je pre tačno 100 godina mala, ali odabrana grupa hrabrih ljudi u Šangaju
We have witnessed profound changes, and the People's Republic of China has returned to the world political stage. This 100 years has not only changed the destiny of the Chinese nation, but also human history.
U decenijama koje su sledile, naslanjajući se na više od 5000 godina dugu tradiciju kineske kulture i civilizacije, osnivači KP Kine sa Mao Tse-tungom na čelu okupili su i ujedinili kineski narod u borbi protiv počinjenosti kolonijalnim silama, ali istovremeno i u borbi protiv svih spolja i iznutra
On the basis of 5,000 years of civilization of China, under the leadership of Mao Zedong, China fought the invasion of imperialists. The founding fathers of the Communist Party of China galvanized the energy of the Chinese people and integrated the wisdom of Marxism with Chinese characteristics, laying a foundation for socialist characteristics. Thanks to the leadership of Mao Zedong, Jiang Zemin, Hu Jintao, and Your Excellency Mr. Xi Jinping, China has achieved the greatest poverty eradication in human history. Some people may regard it as an exaggeration, but it is a truth. Under the leadership of the CPC, over 700 million Chinese people have. Within dozens of years, China has been transformed from a developing country into a strong country. Thanks to the hard work of the Chinese people, China has become a leader in space exploration, artificial intelligence, and other areas. I want to emphasize that no political party or political organization can make the achievement so proud of it as the friend of China. On behalf of the Serbian nation and all the Serbian people and also the Progressive Party, I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to you on the 100th anniversary of the CPC. China has completed the building of a moderately prosperous society in all respects. The CPC Central Committee with General Secretary Xi Jinping at its core has proven to the world that the CPC will accomplish its missions. The great creativity of the CPC has brought about inspiration and hope to all the countries. We need to respect each other, help each other, consultate with each other, from interfering into each other's internal affairs, promote cooperation, and these are more urgent than ever before.
Kina će uvek biti graditelj svetskog mira, dajući svoj doprinos globalnom razvoju uz poštovanje međunarodnog poretka.
You once said that the CPC always represents the fundamental interest of the country and the people. All of us will be inspired by your remarks. Looking back into the great achievements made by the CPC over the past century, I believe that the CPC with Comrade Xi Jinping at its core all the challenges faced by the humanity and make its own contributions to the rejuvenation of the Chinese nation and world peace. We'd like to learn from China in terms of economic and social progress and strengthen our cooperation in various fields.
Putevi I pruge koji nisu postojali dobili su novi život I pokrenuli novu vitalnost I veru u budućnost. Veliko podmlađivanje kineske nacije nije koju uspešno predvodi
The Belt and Road Initiative proposed by General Secretary Xi Jinping is a global initiative. Serbia is willing to make its own contribution to this initiative, and development is the prerequisite of peace. Serbia is a major participant in Eastern and Southern Europe of Belt and Road Initiative. We believe that the One China principle should be applied universally and it can never be compromised. Serbia will always remember the support it received from China when its people were subjected to suffering. We'd like to thank China for giving us consistent and principled support. Serbia adheres to a policy of independence, and we're proud of it. We believe that friendly cooperation with other countries is not only in the core interest of our country and nation, it is also our inseparable rights and interests. The Serbian people are in great love of China. We're committed to strengthening our exchanges and cooperation in various fields, including politics, economy, and culture, so as to deliver more benefits to our peoples.
Imajući u vidu sve što je Komunistička partija Kine postigla I ostvarila za svoj narod u proteklih 100 godina, energiju, samopregor I ljubav za otadžbinu njenih članova,
over the past 100 years, the CPC has achieved all the set goals. Under the leadership of the CPC Central Committee with Comrade Xi Jinping at its core, China will continue to accomplish its goals and draw up new blueprints. The Serbian people will be your sincere friends. Long live Serbia, long live the People's Republic of China, and long live Serbia-China friendship.
Thank you.